All right.
Nice. Hi. Hey, Jeff. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Bill?
I'm doing great. A little bit tired. Been out in the sun all day at the greenhouse and changed the battery in my girlfriend's car. And yeah, it was a busy day, but it was a good day.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed the day. It was nice to see summer coming along. I was over at my a friend of mine, and she's a kinesiologist, does some work for me, and she's got a front yard garden,
Yeah.
and it is so cool,
Yeah.
right? In the beginning, I was like, "Well, who would want to do that? That's so bizarre," right? But it's
Yeah.
like when I go there and I watch the way that the garden was designed is that there's always flowers in bloom throughout the day, throughout the summer, and in the
Right.
fall. It's just brilliant.
Yeah. That is nice. Yeah. Put some thought into something like that.
Yes.
Definitely cool.
So welcome to Bitcoin Brody and the Crypto Cadets. I'm Jeff Brody,
And I'm Bill Schultima.
and neither one of us are financial advisors. Nothing
Very
here is to
correct.
be construed as financial advice. We're just a couple of dudes having
Hmm.
a good fireside like chat,
Yeah.
and hope you enjoy it and get some education along the way.
Yeah.
That said, remember to like, subscribe, share, comment. Let us know what you're doing. It helps us know that we're hitting the mark, and we
Hmm.
appreciate your support. So thank
Yeah.
you so
Definitely.
much.
Yeah. So what have we got on the table today?
Well, let's see. For the table today, we have an interesting market,
Hmm.
one that's starting to rally a bit. So here's, the big thing is no sale, no profit.
Yeah.
No sale, no loss, but no sale,
Yeah.
no profit. That's a big thing. And then
Yeah.
also, there's some projects rallying. Why are they rallying? What's the
Hmm.
magic? And then I think here's one from the emotional perspective. Emotional investing is we pass the high and we still are holding our bag, and there's a 25 to 30% correction, right?
Yeah.
And how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
And then, the market is, we say the market's dominated by Bitcoin, but really the market is dominated by emotions.
It really is. Yeah.
And that's really what we're here to talk about today is
Mm.
being emotionally invested in
Yeah.
cryptocurrency.
Yeah. Exactly. It's not just about your money.
No.
Yeah.
And so, what are your thoughts on the no sale, no profit?
Well, I
No.
was thinking about that actually the other day, um, as it relates to cryptocurrency and our show and life in general. Because I do life coaching, relationship coaching, if you want to experience life, you need to participate in it. You need to take risks at times. You need to take risks at times, and you won't really experience the fullness of life if you're just going to be watching from the sidelines and just letting life move you as it moves you.
Exactly.
Because you can create your future by the decisions you're making today and the direction you're going, but you need to actually sit down with yourself and decide what that's going to look like, what that's going to be, what you want in your life. You have to start somewhere. And so when you're looking at your bag of crypto and you're watching the graph and or the charts and it's going up and it feels great, but it's like, wow, I bought in, but I haven't really sold it. I haven't really done anything. I really should be doing something. It's fun to watch it. It feels good when it goes up, but it's just a chart on an app on a phone or on your computer screen. Until you do something with that sell or buy, it's nothing.
Exactly. There has been there's been no gains,
Yeah,
and there's been no
absolutely.
losses.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
It was interesting is I did a research on a project called Ecomi,
Mm-hmm.
OMI.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Ecomi is a NFT solution uh, company,
Mm-hmm.
and they represent multiple major brands,
Yeah.
and they have licensing arrangements with the superhero characters and a bunch of projects that I wasn't even aware of because it
Yeah.
wasn't not really my space, but from an investor perspective, looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I bought in at the all-time high. And, it now we're 33% where I bought in. So, I've been dollar cost averaging all the way down. It's that, oh, look, there's a dip, buy some more. Oh, look, it dipped more. Oh, it dipped some more.
Yeah.
And so, through the DCA, I'm now probably, my average investment is about 40% of the peak. 50, it's about 45% of what I purchased at the peak.
Yeah, right.
Because the peak purchases were actually my smallest purchases, and I kept increasing the quote unquote bag as it went down. But and there was a comment like, wow, it's like this has been so deceiving. And I said, yeah, that statement just described the entire cryptocurrency market. Right?
Yeah.
We bought Bitcoin when it was, $35,000. We bought Bitcoin when it was $65,000.
Yeah.
Right. And, win Lambo. And, that's kind of the, and then it's, here we are, we're back down on 42, 43. And then, this Wyckoff thing talking about, it could see 38,000 again. Right.
Yeah.
Which means there's a massive sale going on,
Yeah.
They're talking about this being a super cycle, meaning that we're going to see an extended play on this, and that we might stretch into 2022.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a crystal ball, but it doesn't really seem to tell me much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. You really have to have a good sense of your emotional capacity to handle holding it, or when you're missing your sells or your buys because you're just timing it wrong.
Yeah.
Depending on your level of education or knowledge of cryptocurrency, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, or whatever, Dogecoin, and you get into that tide with everyone else with that emotion, like with the Dogecoin ramping up to SNL. I'm sure many of us, myself included, were thinking, yeah, this is going to be really good. This is going to be really amazing. It's the weekend. Can't wait till Sunday. It's going to be fantastic. And, it went in a different direction than we expected.
Yeah.
And same with the Shiba Inu, the Shiba coin. Same idea, right?
Well, and that's it. That's it exactly. I mean, these things go the way they go, and it's like when we're dealing with these pop coins, hype coins, they move the way that the emotions of the people move, right? And unless we're sitting there and we're plugged into the social media, Telegram, Discord, Twitter, where the people are, that community, then we're not in tune with that, because I was sitting here going, my gut feel said Saturday Night Live was kind of going to be a little bit non-eventful, and the reason being was because I knew that the two camps were gonna face off, and that's what happened, right? You had the Dodgers and you had the haters, right? And the haters were taking their shorts, and they had deep pockets, dump a couple $100 million Doge during Saturday Night Live, and that's what can happen.
Yeah.
For the most part, Doge, being a 70, 60, 50, $90 billion project, it's not going to dry up and just roll over and go away. I don't think it's going to, I don't feel strongly that it's going to become the cryptocurrency that Elon Musk is saying that he's working with the team to do this, and he's going after, well, Bitcoin really isn't as decentralized as we think it is if 33% of the hash power can go offline.
Yeah.
Right. But there's still 67% of the hash power that's distributed across the world.
Yeah.
And to be telling, let me get this, I'm going to make this statement here, but at first what I want to say is climate change is important to me, and making clean energy choices is important to me. But like when you launch a rocket and you have several test launches, tell me how many years of Bitcoin mining went up in that launch.
Yeah.
And tell me that this is irresponsible.
Yeah.
Right. So I think everything comes at a trade of value, and it's I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying, hey, let's look at the facts. Like, is it important to send someone to the moon or send someone to Mars? It's not for me to say.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think the big thing is that, let's talk about some of the projects rallying.
Yeah. Well, before we do that, I do want to say this, that, we create, like, even with the shibcoin, and Dogecoin, I wasn't planning on buying any Dogecoin at all. It's like, no, it's not my thing. I really don't want to do it. But then I thought, oh, what the heck? Why not? Maybe this could be, that golden ticket. And, it didn't turn out to be that yet, but it still could. But we create the story in our heads, and without knowing what the next day brings, because with the SHIB, with, well, how do you pronounce his last name? Balatek or something like that? The guy that's the young guy sold $1 billion, donated $1 billion to India.
Yeah, Vitalik.
Yeah, Vitalik.
Vitalik Buterin.
Yeah, so everyone was like really disappointed about that. Others weren't, maybe so much. And then next thing you know, he burns off 410 trillion tokens.
Yeah.
So we don't know what the next day brings, and so, but we get attached to the feeling, emotion, the story we're feeling in the moment of, man, that really sucks. Why did you do that? And then it's like, oh, that was a really good thing to do. That's going to help, I think. So it's like, we can ride this crazy roller coaster in and out of the day, because who knows what we're going to hear in the market, in the news marketplace. Who knows what crazy things are going to be happening that we aren't even considering could happen.
Yeah, and nothing means anything except for the meaning that we apply to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And that applies to everything in life.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So it's definitely interesting. Definitely interesting to see what's going on, and take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
It's we're dealing with a speculative market.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I look back to January and today, I've seen a 33% correction in my portfolio, but I'm up 300%.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's kind of like, you've seen that meme where you see the guy's face in the water and the water's up to his eyes. And it's like, oh my God, I'm down 15%. Yeah. And then the picture under the water is, 900% gains.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, oh my God, the world's ending. I'm going to drown here because I'm down 15%.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's what we're, those are the types of emotions we're dealing with. And what's going on with these rallying projects? Why are they rallying?
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
I think what we're seeing in the rallying projects we're seeing some specific projects that are tied to launches of new protocols, like for instance, the Polkadot network, mm-hmm. and the progress that we're seeing in Polkadot.
Yeah.
So Polkadot, has been teased as being another one of the stable coins, because it's been sitting around the $40 mark, $33 to $45 mark for the last, 6-8 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that period of time is 6 weeks is a good amount of time for the emotions to kind of leave out for everybody, and people to start coming back and paying attention to it. Polkadot is a large cap token, cryptocurrency and project. And so it's very promising, and then there's the projects that are riding on the coattails that are going to be delivering solutions. Like there's a project called Polkadex.
Yeah.
Right. PDEX. And Polkadex has gained, we've seen a flip in that, and we've seen it go from $16 to $39 in a little over a week, and it's gone back into consolidation. it's riding on the Polkadot network. And what is, Polkadex is a distributed exchange, a DEX, with CEX-like features, CEX, centralized exchange-like features. So it's going to allow you to do limit sales, and so you have spot trading with limit sales, and you're going to be able to, you'll have your token staking, and you'll be able to do margin trading. So they're looking at delivering a lot of these solutions. And if you take a look at the Polkadex, you can go and look at on their test net, and you can get a look and feel for what they're actually they're running on their test net right now, and what they're looking to bring to the market. So if you take a look at other projects that are like Polkadex, it would be Uniswap, PancakeSwap, right? 1inch. So some different decentralized exchanges, but to bring in the features that allow you to see and set prices for your trades. Because one of the most frustrating things that I have with doing a trade on Uniswap and doing a trade on PancakeSwap is I don't really know the price that I'm buying. I don't get to set the price. It's just whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And there's slippage, which means whatever. Hey, dude, it's like, we'll get you as many as we can, but there's no, so it's kind of like you're at the mercy of the market, right? So it's really a market trade.
Yeah.
And if you're used to doing spot trades and using limit orders and stop limits, then I think that's the excitement of Polkadex. And if the value of Polkadex now is like, I think it's somewhere around $100 million versus Uniswap, which is in the billions of dollars. So there's an opportunity for a project like Polkadex, as it comes to bear, to see multiples of gains.
Yeah.
Right? We've seen 2.5 times, almost 3 times. We see a 2.5 time gain on Polkadex. If you think about just a week ago, Polkadex was down around $10. So we've seen a 400%. If someone bought in at $10 and it went to 39 and they sold, they would have had almost a 400% gain in a matter of days.
Yeah.
And then, what we're seeing is that we've seen some consolidation, but the consolidation is looking like this is the new floor, and we're going to see upward motion again.
Yeah.
So these projects are finding they're finding legs because they're attached to projects that are solving a need. So Polkadot is going to solve a need that is created by the Ethereum network, because the Ethereum network, being the most successful and the most highly utilized distributed exchange and network for distributed applications, decentralized applications, DAOs, smart contracts, NFT, all of this stuff running on top of here, which drives the traffic up and drives the gas fees up.
Yeah.
Now, here's another project that we're seeing that has gone absolutely crazy, which was a 1 cent project in the beginning of the year. I got in late January, early February, around 3.5, 4 cents. Is a project called Polygon now, that's known as Matic. And I took profits along the way. So it went from 4 cents. And once it hit $1, I took profits.
Yeah.
And then it hit $1.25, and I took profits. And it hit $1.60, and I took profits.
Yeah.
Right?
Nice.
And then it's like, I'm looking at $1.65, and it sat there for a week or so. And last night I'm going, I'm going to go back in on that. And I had to go out and figure out, hey, which project am I going to sell out of to free up some cash out of crypto? And by the time I did that, it jumped 45 cents.
Wow.
I went and jumped onto TradingView, take a look at the technicals, and I went, oh yeah, this is going to run. So I bought in at 207, and today it hit 254. So it's part of it is that we see these things taking off, right? And there was a gap of about 40 cents from where I took my profits to where I got back in, but I went back in. So the key is that, and it's the same thing with Pokedex. I took my profits on Pokedex around $28, and then bought back in at 30 because it didn't go the way that I was expecting to go, and at least it didn't go there long.
Yeah.
And so like we're looking at these projects, and so there is motion, there is things going on. Like we see Bitcoin, Ethereum, even Litecoin. Like I'm looking at Litecoin and feeling kind of disappointed because it's only $298.
Yeah.
The emotion around, it was $400. It's like, I miss all that profit. And then you look at it and go, oh yeah, it was $176. It was $156 only weeks ago. Right. So it's the big thing is the zooming out, giving perspective. So I think part of it is that with these, we got projects that have large caps, and there's even some small cap projects that have seen what I call the sun, right?
Yeah.
So people call the moon, and I say, well, it hasn't reached the moon yet, but it's had its day in the sun. And so there was a couple of projects that I went back to revisit. One of those being VeChain.
Yeah.
And VeChain is a top 20 project now, right?
Yeah.
When I first was introduced to it, it was trading somewhere fractions of a penny, like 0.00, like a tenth or a 100th of a penny.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't be bothered to figure out how to go and get it. And it's like, you have to go into this exchange and you have to do that. And I'm like, and I was of the mind like, oh, is it really going to do anything? Right. It's so small. And so I finally bought in at 1.50 cents, a small bag. Right. And then I bought in again at 3 cents. Bought some more, and then I bought some more at 6 cents, right? And then we saw it rally up to 28 cents. And I sold the majority of what I had, and then it continued. Then it started to do the retraction.
Yeah,
it's one of the few projects I sold at the right time, and flipped it over to something else that I didn't buy at the right time.
Yeah, yeah.
It's this whole thing. So I think it's let's talk about the emotional feeling of market timing.
Yeah, that's a good topic, and I can address that for myself with saying knowledge is power. And there was a post, I think Curtis had posted charts from a website, reading, I think there were 10 popular chart formations, candlestick charts. And I just had begun looking at them, and then the number 3 chart was double bottom.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, that's cool. And so I went back into KuCoin and started looking at some of the projects that I have, some of the coins. And, there it was. So plain as day. And that does 2 things for me. It gives me confidence because now I have new knowledge that I can apply to when I can actually get into a project, when I should be selling or buying, jumping in, and when I'm going to jump off. Because, when you see it, you see it, right? And it's like, wow, you can't unsee it. And it's such a liberating. Well, for me, it was very liberating. It's like, wow, I'm beginning to understand what I'm seeing now. I feel more confident. I don't feel like I'm going in blindly. I have a little bit more information, and I can figure this out. I can do this, and knowing just that little bit on just that one chart alone, was, just made so much more sense to me. And to the point where I'm describing it and showing the charts to my girlfriend and saying, this is what's happening here. And then watch this, it'll do that. And then I was showing her the different points where this is a double dip or a double bottom, or this is like a double top, just a reverse of what's happening with a turn up, knowing when it's starting to rise. So to me, that is how I look at it now, as far as getting into the market.
Yeah, and it's exciting, it's like, because it's like people start talking about technical analysis, and it sounds like witchcraft, sounds like black magic, right?
Yeah,
It's like, because it's like you're sitting here and new to the space, or relatively new to the space, you haven't looked at technicals, people are talking about wicks and candles and all of this stuff, and it's overwhelming, as is the crypto space. When we start talking about tokens, and we start talking about exchanges and wallets and protocols and transferring in and transferring it out, and it's like we have this whole cryptic language.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you start cracking the code, right, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
How's it feel?
Yeah, it's a good feeling. What I need to do now that I understand that part of it, how it correlates with, okay, is this going to be how high of a rise is this going to start with this switch? Is it based on the buying pressure or selling pressure at the moment of these, whether it's a 1 minute wick or candle or a 5 minute candle, right? And so it's understanding that, plus everything else that's going on, what you're hearing in the news and the media and social media, and how all of that applies to this particular coin you're interested in.
Yeah, and then we got the outliers like Elon Musk, who dropped some flippant comment.
Yeah.
And and all of a sudden your charts don't mean anything.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about him today too, and it's like, people love him or hate him. I like the guy, and he's a great visionary. I think he's taught us an awful lot, but with a lot of the things that he's saying, it'll get to the point where he's like the guy that cries the sky is falling. No one's going to listen to him anymore.
Well, and that's the danger, right? Because he's a brilliant dude. It's like, we have to give him that, right? But there's that, him toying with, he toys with people's emotions. He toys with, so it's kind of the, okay, that's Elon, right?
Yeah. He'll become more irrelevant the longer that kind of thing goes on, right? And then he'll no longer have value, because people might be fun at the beginning, kind of funny or whatever, and people have made profits off of that, but there'll come a point where people will just turn away from it because it's not what they want. They want a legitimate opportunity and chance to increase their financial sovereignty, increase their wealth, and they don't want to be hoodwinked. They don't want to be manipulated. They just want their fair shake at doing what we're doing, right? Without having that kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of stuff going on, because then that also then delegitimizes cryptocurrency to people that are frowning on it, and it just makes it harder.
Yeah. I'm going to do a quick screen share here, because I pulled together a few of the references we were talking about. And let me do this. I'm just going to bring up my second screen so that I can drop the stuff over there that I want to share. But I think there's, this whole aspect of people are looking at this and they're putting real money in it. And it's like, when people toy with it, it's kind of hurtful, right? Because you're going like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah. And the lesson I take away from that is, you need to do your own research. You need to educate yourself on even the basics of reading charts, as I'm starting to do as a beginner. Surround yourself with good, supportive, heart-centered people that are aligned with the goals that you have, so that those sorts of things don't affect you emotionally, and then you don't trigger sell or trigger buy because of what they're saying. You're looking at what's in front of you, and that's what you're basing your decisions on.
And I think there's a big degree to that. It's like so that we get out of the being emotionally triggered.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen here.
Okay.
And top 10 charts. There we go. Share screen. Yeah. And I'm going to share this one.
On a side note, while you're getting that up, I made a fantastic stir fry today.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love cooking. I know you do too. You love baking, I think, more though.
It's like I'm actually I'm very rounded in that. I like I cook, I bake, I create because of I had to change my lifestyle.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that so it's the same thing. So it's baking, it's cooking, it's taking so it's making things like a stir fry. So you had fun doing that, and then you get to enjoy it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So what are we looking at here, Jeff?
So what we have here is, this was the article that that was shared about 10 patterns every trader needs to know, and they're simple, like head and shoulders, double top, double bottom, rounding bottom, cup and handles, wedges, pennants or flags, ascending triangle, descending triangle, and symmetrical triangle. So I was looking at map and noticing on the 2 hours that it was forming a inverse head and shoulders. So a head and shoulders is typically a bearish move, which means price is going to go down. However, an inverse head and shoulders means that the price is going to go up. So when you flip this over and you look at the neckline, so that you see the shoulders are approximately the same height and the head is higher.
Yeah.
So when I took a look at the 2 hour chart on map, I'm going, well, it's upside down. And then I looked at map and said, oh, it's had an all-time high of 27.5 cents on the 4th of April, which is approximately 6 weeks ago. So I think that, the map protocol, Marco Polo, it's a cross-chain solution that is going to bring some relief into the Ethereum network, but also it's going to bring the ability to tie multiple chains together, parachains, these types of things. So I'm thinking, hey, maybe map will move. So I looked at that, and so it gives you a simple example and explains what the pattern is, right? So typically the first and third peak will be smaller than the second.
Yeah.
So a double top is that you're looking at, you're seeing, this support or resistance line here, and you're seeing two peaks relatively the same height.
Yeah.
The double bottom that Bill was mentioning, I call this a W.
Yeah, I see that.
And I called this on when Ethereum was around $2,300-$2,400. I saw the double bottom, and it pumped, and I drew a quick chart. I just grabbed it, I grabbed my little drawing tool and went zip, 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 and I just drew a trend line that went off up to the right-hand side.
Yeah.
And that thing held true for like over 2 weeks, and it took it all the way up to $4,400. There was a bit of divergence, once it got above the 4,100 mark, it moved sideways and then it resumed, and then then Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Well, so having, let's say, these 10 charts, that we should know, and the ones that I'm learning, along with the Elliott wave theory, I think if you have those two kind of set in your mind, you understand it when you see it, I think that can take you a long way.
Yeah,
um, into, making really good gains, and knowing when to get in and when to get out.
exactly. And you can go ahead and, it's like the cool thing is if you're using a KuCoin or you're using even Binance, like they're using the trading view charts. The
Yeah.
tools are there so that you can go ahead and do some cool things, mark up your charts and go, hey, look, I'm good.
Okay. Here's a question on KuCoin. Can you actually mark up the charts on there on
Yeah,
the
you
app?
can. You,
On the
you'll
app?
notice you'll notice on the left side of the chart,
Okay.
there's a bunch of there's a toolbar.
Oh, okay. I don't
Yeah,
think
so
I've
you
seen
can
that. I'll have to look at it.
you can go in there and look, and you got, it's like one of the things that I like to use is the Fibonacci retracements,
Yeah.
so that I take the low and I take the high of it and I pull it across, and that quickly tells me where the support and resistance lines are.
Hmm.
And so Fibonacci's is a predictable uh, sequence of numbers and gives you some idea when you're looking into the statistics
Yeah.
of what's going on. And then you combine that with the Elliott theory, which ties in the emotions.
Hmm.
And when we start looking at these various charts, we see that we're looking at the emotions
Yeah.
of the market, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like as things are trending, you know, this is you know, we're looking at a symmetrical triangle, which is a bearish move,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And you can see that where we dump down, and then you can draw that over, and you can see the down. You can start guessing how far things are going to fall,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so there's some cool things. So now it's like we've given you the whole purpose of this is to give you the secret decoder ring,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that you know it's not that we're brilliant, it's that we know where this stuff is, and we just looked at it and went, wow, that. And it's like Bill shared, right? You took a look at one thing and went, oh, I recognize that.
Yeah.
And then you go and you do a quick read of, what's that saying, right? So you go and you look at what is the, what does that mean, the double bottom? So double
Yeah.
bottom chart pattern indicates a period of selling causing an asset's price to drop below a level of support. It will then rise to a level of resistance before dropping again. Finally, the trend will reverse with an upward motion as the market becomes more bullish.
Hmm. Yeah.
Double bottom is a bullish reversal pattern because it signifies the end of a downtrend and a shift of the uptrends.
Yeah. Reading charts to me is like when you first learn how to drive a standard. It really, if you're nervous, it doesn't make any sense. But once you do it a few times, it's like it becomes second nature. You look at, like for me, even beginning to look at a chart is slowly becoming second nature. It's like, okay, I see what's happening here. I get it. And it's very, very fulfilling just from a perspective of learning, right? And growing in my own way with what I'm doing in my own life. This is what I'm doing now with cryptocurrency is going to affect different areas of my life. It's not just about increasing profit and having wonderful gains. It's to create the kind of life that I seek to live, right? And to create the freedom that I want in my life. And so when we can, or myself or anyone can begin to add to that tool set, add education, understanding, and insight, that'll take you so much further, much more quickly, and you'll have less stumbling and less mistakes along the way. Hopefully, anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, so chart reading, is something that's attainable for all of us, just with a bit of reading and a bit of study.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, in the beginning, it was like I just looked at the charts and I looked at the motion of the charts and I started, and I talked about it being a rhythm, a dance, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about, and that's the emotional pattern. So,
Hmm.
I pulled up this chart, this diagram here that talks about the stock market and the cycle of emotions of the market. Well, this applies to, it doesn't matter whether it's stock or foreign exchange or commodities or cryptocurrency. It's the same thing that, in the beginning of the bull market, there's a lot of optimism and then excitement and then thrill and euphoria. So every time we get in the peak, Bitcoin's, pumping to $65,000. Ethereum blew from 2,000 to 4,400 and never took a breath.
Yeah.
Right. And then you flip into a bearish trend. It's not a full-on bear market, but we get into these bearish trends, which we're in right now, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of denial. I should have sold. I should have done that. I should have. So people should on themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then fear, depression, panic. It's like people start, when you get into this spot here, this fear, depression, and panic, people start selling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time.
Right. And this is where, Warren Buffett says, when people are, when people are excited, be fearful. And when people are fearful, when people are greedy, be fearful. And when people are fearful, be greedy. Right. And this is kind of where we've been sitting here. We're somewhere in the depression panic phase. I don't know when we're going to hit the bottom and it's going to pop again. Technicals are showing, you can start looking at these various trend lines they call the moving average, convergence, and divergence.
Mm-hmm.
And you can look at it on different time scales. So it's like, the 5-minute, the 15-minute, the 30-minute, the 60-minute, the 4-hour, the 8-hour, the daily, the weekly. And it gives you different views of what's going on in the market. And you can look at that MACD and see, where are we?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because the MACD is going to do the same thing. It's going to go into, this is driving up into the buying market. This is the selling market. And then you're going to get a reversal where it's going to go from a selling market to a buying market again. And it's going to, it's going to start all over again. And these are micro phases of the bull market.
Yeah.
Right. So we saw a big one. We saw a big correction in February, probably just around the time that you started.
Yep. I think we started February 15th, something mid-February 13th or something like that.
Yeah. So you were in the midst of kind of the bearish spot of Bitcoin.
Boy, if I was a month earlier, eh?
Yeah. If you were in January, then this might have really been a kick in the teeth because that early in, right? So now it's like, now that you've had the time to absorb a lot, and then you've come through it, you can say, okay, and you've surrounded yourself with good people, heart-centered people, so that they're, who have been around the market for a while, and saying that, don't worry, Bill, good times are coming.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you hear these wonderful stories of, people that have put in, $100 and turned it into over 100,000.
Yeah. I mean, that's exciting.
That's exciting. So to me, all that says to me, if it can happen to him, it can happen to me.
Absolutely.
It's like, okay, I need to be emotionally responsible. I need to have a game plan, when to get out, how I'm going to get out, and what's my level of greed. What is it I want to get out of it before I'm ready to get out of it? And will I be happy if it keeps going up after I get out? So, those questions I ask myself.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that part of it is, this was what I was talking about, crypto holders are like, I'm drowning, but I'm up 900%.
Yeah, I know. That's good. It's really good.
It comes back to, it's that we're going to be at this, why are we doing this? To create the lifestyle that we want, so that we have some freedom and we have our own financial sovereignty.
Yeah.
Right. And we're in a very, if we take a look at it and we zoom out and we look at what's going on in the, take a look at what's going on fiscally and financially in the world right now. Right. Inflation is starting to go off the charts. I was in a conversation this morning with a bunch of presidents and owners and entrepreneurs, and there's one of the questions was, what do you think is going to happen? Right. Everything's going to go back to normal. We're going to see, things are going to open up, and it's like cash is, people are going to be recovered, and, they're going to be everyone's going to have the vaccine, and so we'll start seeing, and prices will, and inflation's going to stay low, right? Whereas this is the new normal, right?
Mm.
We're going to see we're going to see some inflation, and some things are never going to reopen. Some things, and part of it is that you used to spend $300 to go to a concert. Today you don't do that.
Yeah.
Right. So you have money to do other things, and maybe that's money available that you're putting into crypto. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. And then the third scenario was, this is not a good thing. We need to look at creating alternative. We need to look at creating alternative revenue streams.
Yeah.
And we need to hunker down and realize that this could be a financial crisis for our countries, us being in North America.
Yeah.
And that, I was in Germany in 2006.
Yeah.
Where the 2005, 2006, where I spent as much in 5 days in Germany as I did for 2.5 weeks when I was visiting family in Latvia.
Wow.
When I got home and by the time you converted the rental car with the insurance and everything, and the European hotel rooms, at 187 marks a night, and you have to have 2 rooms because they're tiny twin bed rooms, right? Because I'm there with my wife and my mother-in-law and my children, and then you're buying meals, and the price of it was like it cost me 60 marks for a couple of hot dogs and bottles of waters on a roadside stop, because we were driving somewhere, and I was like, wow, and so we could be seeing that. In 2007 I was in so Germany had off charts inflation at that point. And then in 2007 I was in Scotland, and 2007 was when there was a financial crisis, and the banks were starting to talk about insolvency. And I witnessed in Glasgow the lineups of people at Northern Rock trying to get their money out of the bank. Which is like people trying to go to a crypto exchange and try to get their crypto out. Not your keys, not your crypto. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's interesting. So here we are. We saw a bit of a market correction in 2008 when there was the housing bubble burst. Right? And that affected the Canadian economy, because our economies are tied so close together. And what happens is that we spend so much time watching the news that it influences our thoughts of what's happening in our market.
Yeah. Oh, that's absolutely. That's so true.
Yeah. And that, so here we are, and I'm going, we could be heading into our own financial crisis right now.
Yeah.
And it's, don't blame the politicians, because it doesn't matter who's, this isn't a political conversation, because the reality is, you can take a look at, we've got the Ontario Premier, and we've got the Canadian Prime Minister, and they're doing the same things. And they're 2 different parties.
Yeah.
So they're fighting something they don't know how to fight, that they weren't trained to fight, and they're doing the best they can. And the crypto market is our way of hedging our bets.
Yeah.
So
having the life preservers handy.
Yeah. And that's kind of like, so the market's dominated by emotions. And we hedge the best we can. And then we go and, sometimes, one of the best educations that I had in emotional investing was when a friend of mine got out of his longs. So that's calls in the stock market, and in crypto we call them longs. So that's betting that the price is going to go up.
Yeah.
And he had bet on Uber and lost a lot of money. So he had taken profits on Tesla, at $170 an option.
Mm-hmm.
So his call was $170, and he sold them 3 days before they blew up. So I'm sitting here going, well, it's only $270. Maybe we should buy some. No, it's done. It's not going to go any higher. It's $380. Maybe I should go in. No, it's done. And that comes back to, we talk about don't hate it, don't date it, just trade it. And that's really, there was a hate for Tesla going on. Yeah. I missed my opportunity. And while you were quote unquote crying in your beer, Tesla goes on and goes up to, $1,800, does a reverse split 3 times, and then goes up to like almost $1,000. So Tesla flies over $3,000.
Yeah.
And I sat on the sidelines because I was listening to someone who missed an opportunity. Mm-hmm. And what that taught me, the emotional intelligence that gave me, is that it's not too late to get in. And I, look at PDEX. I sold at 27 and I bought in at 32. Mm-hmm. I took my profits early because we were expecting a correction.
Yeah. Well, that's what I did, right? It was like, I can't remember where I hit 25% over. I took 25% out when I was over. I did that twice, so I had 50% of my holdings, and it just kept going up. And now I'm thinking to myself, man, I should have just. Was I too eager? And maybe next time I need to be a little more patient. And because it's almost double to where I was.
Yeah, and I think the answer is you did the right thing.
Yeah, because
we can't second guess it because it's not done as done. You took profits.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that's where the greed comes in.
Yeah, you could have watched it go. Like let's think about Pokedex went up to $36,
mm-hmm.
and then it rocketed back down to $17-20.
Yeah,
and it sat there for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And, it's like I'm sitting here going like, is it really going to move that way? Really? You think so? And it's like there was all the evidence saying, yeah, it's really going to go that way because it's a DEX with sex-like features. And so just get in and hold.
Yeah.
Right? Because the upside is, so I bought back in, I bought more, and it's like, yeah, I could have held it at $27, $25. I took profits too.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I was looking at the Elliots going like, I'm sitting here, it was like Friday night and I'm doing my technical analysis and I'm looking at it going, that second wave is too short.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This third wave is longer than the second wave. It's not lining up for me.
Yeah.
Right. And then we looked at the euphoria chart that I showed that said, well, it's pretty much in euphoric. And now we saw the red candles come in.
Yeah.
And then Saturday night, it takes off again and it completes the third Elliott wave.
Yeah.
Right. So, part of it is that when you see this, it's just, you need to make a choice what feels right for you. And it's like, there's no right, there's no wrong. It's just like, okay, it's like I've done this several times. It's like I've gotten out and then I bought back in.
Mm-hmm. I'm sitting here thinking I have some USDT sitting for something. Do I buy back in on PDEX because it was so good to me? And because the talk is that it's going to go up even higher. And so it's like, well, I need to make a decision soon.
Yeah, go take a look at, you've got your technicals chart. You can take a look at it in the different time frames.
Yeah.
And see get a feel for what it's telling you. You can throw a Fibonacci retracement on.
Mm-hmm.
And, so you can, it's, when you look at the toolbar on the left, there's one that shows you like a little pitchfork type thing.
Okay.
So you click on that, you get a flyout, and then about 3/4 of the way down, you'll find the Fibonacci retracement, and then you can drop that on the chart, and you find a peak, you find a valley, the lowest point, and you draw a line up to the right to the peak, and that shows you the Fibonacci retracements that'll give you supports and resistances.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really cool is when you start watching that, and those candles bounce off those support and resistance lines.
Yeah.
And then when they bust through the resistance, they immediately become support.
Mm-hmm.
And, so you'll hear things like the 32, the 61.8, like, the 0, and it's like different. So you have different areas in that. So you can actually go and look at this, and you can start making more informed decisions.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is you can set up a free account with TradingView, and you can chart your heart out there. But you can lay the charts directly onto KuCoin, onto Binance.
Right. Nice.
And you can do it on the phone. I just find it a little bit more challenging on the phone.
More cumbersome, yeah.
Yes, I'm not as dexterous.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this is fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great information there tonight, I think. Hey, Jeff?
Yeah, we're the market's recovering.
Mm-hmm.
We all forgot about Elon.
We pretty quickly.
Yeah, we're a fickle bunch.
We sure are.
Throw us a few greenbacks or green candles, and we start smiling again.
Yeah, exactly. For sure.
All right, my friend.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it has been.
We dumped a lot more into this one. It's an extra long edition because we dove into a little bit of that technical analysis piece.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully people got something out of it and can check out charting for sure for themselves.
Yeah. And drop us comments. Let us know what you'd like to hear about. And thanks for joining and hanging out with us tonight. And we look forward to speaking to you on Thursday.
Yeah, absolutely. Good night, everybody.
Good night.